Hi everyone, welcome to Rachel Pichler Yoga. My name is Rachel. Today is Flexible Friday and we are going to be getting into our hips. So nice, happy hips coming for you today. So find a little bit of space that you can move and remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And let's get started. We're gonna start laying down today so you can find your way onto your back. And we're just gonna bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees fall out nice and wide. So Supta Baddha Konasana, just feeling a little something through the hips as we make that diamond shape with our legs. So just let the knees fall out to the side and then taking your hands and just place them on your tummy. And I want you just to close your eyes here. Start to take a few nice big breaths. Taking these next few moments to let go of your day, your week, or whatever it is you might have to do after class, after your yoga practice. And just starting to be present, to be right here, right now, just you, your mat, your breath, and those lovely hips. So just staying as you are for a few more breaths. Continuing to slow it down. Just scanning your body. And just noticing how you are feeling right now. Noticing how those hips are feeling, if there's any tension or tightness in them right now. And just know that after this practice, you're going to have nice open hips. So let's take one more inhale and exhale. And then you can bring your hands to the outside of your legs and just help your knees come back together. I want you to keep your feet planted so you can just scooch them a little bit closer towards your hips. And bring your feet about hip width apart. So using an inhale, we're going to lift the hips up for bridge pose. Just as far as those hips want to go. You don't have to worry about adjusting the shoulders at all. Just lift the hips, push into the feet, and feeling some release through those hip flexors. We'll stay for just one more inhale. And exhale, lower your hips all the way down, taking your left foot, placing it on top of the right leg. And then you can lift that right foot up into the air and hang onto the back of your thigh or your quad and just send that right foot up into the air as much as you'd like. Feeling this all through that left side, that left hip, that glute. And just relaxing through the upper body and the head. If you have any discomfort through the knee of that bent leg, just flex your foot a bit. Flex that foot that's crossing over top. And we'll take another 3 breaths on this side. Continuing to slow down your breath. Just slowing down all those thoughts that are coming in and out of your mind. And then gently placing that right foot onto the mat again. Uncross your legs. Left foot's going to plant down and right foot is going to cross over top of the left this time. Switching sides. So for a little reclined pigeon or thread the needle, whatever you want to call it. And just bringing the legs towards the chest to get into that right hip. And staying for your last 3 breaths on this side. Maybe bring the knees a little closer to the chest. Maybe not. Finding what feels best for you. And then nice and slow, you can place that left foot back down and you can uncross your legs. So we're just going to bring the knees into the chest. So you can just start by hanging onto your shins or onto your knees. And we're going to bring them a little bit wider. So start to spread your knees apart. And at the same time that you spread the knees, I want you just to hug them to the outside of your body. So as you hug them in, you might start to feel that through the hips. If you want to stay hanging onto the knees, you can. Or maybe you want to slide your hands down your legs towards your ankles and lift your feet a little bit higher into the air for happy baby. So our knees are really wide, and it's like we're encouraging them to the floor beside us. So if they were going to hit anything and go as low as they possibly could go, they would hit the floor instead of your stomach or your chest. And then once you're hanging onto your feet, if you are hanging onto your feet today, just see if you can stack your ankles right over top of your knees. Maybe you'll notice that you feel that a little bit more as opposed to letting the feet fall down towards the hips. And then one more thing I want you guys to just check in with is what your tailbone is doing. If your tailbone's lifting off of the mat, I want you to see how it feels when you try and bring it back down, bringing as much length to your spine as you can. Again, you might feel that a little bit more in those hips as you try and push the tailbone down into the mat. And we're just going to take another full breath here and happy baby. And then you can start to let those feet come down towards your heel or down towards your hips and bring your knees back together. Just do a little rock from side to side as those knees come together. And we're going to come all the way up. So you can either roll to the side or rock forwards. But we're going to be finding a lunge, so you can come onto your hands and your knees, and your right foot is going to come forward. Left knee is going to stay planted, and then you're just going to sink those hips forwards here. So you can have your hands on the mat. You're just staggering that back knee back onto the mat so that you can get into that left hip flexor. And then one thing you want to check in with is just that the front knee is over top of that front ankle. So just move the front foot so that it's over top of your front ankle. And then settling in for a few breaths here in the lunge. You could have the hands on the mat or maybe bring them up to the knee, but the hips are sinking down and forward. And we'll just take maybe 2 or 3 more breaths here in that left hip flexor, just letting the hips be nice and heavy, letting them fall towards the mat. And stay for one more inhale. And then as you exhale, you can start to bring your hands down if they were up. We're going to move that front foot over to the left side and then drop our leg or our shin down onto the mat. So I want you to take that right heel and just move it in so that's nice and close to that left hip. So we're coming into pigeon. So if you do pigeon all the time and you know that you don't want your heel right by that left hip, you can adjust it to where you want it to be. But if you're coming with me today, I'm going to have my heel really close to that left hip. So shining the chest forward for just a moment, starting to soften through the hips, and then you can melt it down. If you wanted to find your forearms or if you wanted to rest your chest all the way onto your mat. So taking just a few more breaths here in pigeon. Softening through the upper body as much as you can. Softening through those hips. If you're feeling any discomfort in the knee that you're laying on, that right knee, just flex this foot a little bit. That right foot, flex that foot a little bit. Taking some of the pressure out of that knee. Just stay for another 2 or 3 breaths on this side. Whenever you're ready, you can use an inhale to lift that upper body up. So we are just going to be bringing that back leg forwards. I'm just going to turn to face you guys. So the right leg is going to be the bottom leg, and I want you just to move that foot so that your shin becomes parallel to the top of your mat or to whatever you might be facing towards if you're not using a mat. And that left leg is going to come on top. This is called double pigeon or fire log. So you want to think about the shins being parallel to the mat, so we're not sitting cross-legged, and stacking one foot on top of the knee and then one knee on top of the other foot. So you might have that left knee really high. That's okay as long as there's no discomfort in that knee. If there is, you can just start to bring that leg forward and just sit cross-legged any way that's comfy. If you are feeling all right in this one with the foot on top of the knee, and maybe you can bring that left knee down towards that bottom foot as well. You just want to notice that the shins are parallel to the top of your mat and to each other. And then you can just take your hands beside you and sit nice and tall. So you can stay here. Again, maybe you're here with the knee lifted a little bit higher. If you've got a pillow or something you could stick under there, you could stick something under there. But if you want to add a forward fold, you can start to lean forward. So if your hips start lifting up off of the mat, see if you can keep them down. So you might want to move your hands in front of you just so that you can keep those hips nice and low. And then one other thing, you guys, flex your feet. Flex both of the feet. So pull the toes towards each other. And then just tipping forward. You should be feeling this through that left leg, so the top leg. You might be getting some love in the right leg as well, but it's primarily getting into that left side. So nice work, you guys. We're going to start to make our way out of this one. So you can just slowly lift all the way up. We're going to uncross our legs. So however you want to uncross your legs. We're going to be coming up onto our hands and our knees again and moving into the lunge on the other side. So find your knees. Bring your left foot forward this time. So we're doing the opposite side. And then send those hips forward to the front of the room, getting into that right hip flexor. Hands can find the mat. If you want to just adjust, settle in, you can bring your hands down. You can stay here, or maybe bring the hands up to the knee. Wherever you want to be, whatever feels best on that hip flexor. And then just finding the breath. And softening through the hips, through the shoulders, really the entire upper body. And just staying for maybe 2 or 3 more moments, more breath. And then nice and slow, when you're ready, you can bring your hands down onto the mat. We're going to be heel toeing or moving that front foot over to the edge so that we can come into pigeon. So again, I want to bring my heel nice and close to my hip today. And then just trying to square the hips, square the shoulders, shine the chest forward for a moment. And then you can start to melt it down if you want to. Find the forearms or just rest your upper body completely. So let's take just 3 or so more breath on this side. Softening through that upper body. Breathing into the hips. And then using an inhale when you're ready to lift yourself all the way up. So just lean over to that left side so that you can swing the right leg forwards. So this time the left leg will be on the bottom. The right leg will be on top, so trying to line up the foot with the knee and then the knee with the foot and moving those shins so that they're parallel to the mat, unless sitting cross-legged in a different way is better for you for this one. So don't worry if the knee's up here, just make sure there's no pain in that knee. So I like to flex both of my feet actually to take a whole lot of pressure out of the knees. But you can bring your hands to the floor beside you and just sit nice and tall. Maybe that right knee wants to drop down, maybe not. And then just adding any amount of a forward fold that you might want to give into this one, but remembering to just keep those sit bones connected to the mat the whole time if you're folding forward. Awesome job, you guys. So slowly starting to lift yourself all the way back up. So we're just going to uncross our legs. You can just plant your feet for a moment. Give your knees a little bit of a hug as you bring those hips back together. So we are going to be finishing today with frog pose. So if you are familiar with frog pose, you can get right into it. If you have no idea what that means, we're going to make frog legs with our legs. So you're just going to need to do a few things before you get into this one. And that is either roll your mat over or find some towels to put underneath your knees, because you're going to want some nice cushion for your knees if you're on a hard surface. However, if you're on carpet, you will probably be all right. But I like to roll my mat over twice the long way just to give enough padding. If you need even more, if you have really sensitive knees, you could roll your mat in again. So roll your mat over. And then you're going to be bringing your knees out as wide as you possibly can on your mat. So bring your knees super wide. I'm going to say wider than child's pose. So I'm just going to scooch my mat back here. So really wide knees, wider than child's pose if you can, if you know how wide you can bring your knees in child's pose. And then, so since our knees are really, really wide, our feet are also going to be really wide. So if you're bringing your big toes together right now, just slide those feet really far apart so that they're at least behind your knees. And I like to turn the inside of my feet down. However, if your ankles or your feet turn a different way, they can go any way that's comfy. But I'm already feeling this in my hips. So as I shift my hips backwards or push them backwards towards my heels, that deepens things a lot for me. So you want your knees so far apart that when you send the hips back towards the heels, it deepens the stretch. So make any little adjustments if you need to bring your knees wider, your feet wider, and then you can find your forearms if you'd like, or you can stay up on your hands. So feeling this all through the hips. This is a doozy. This is a good one. And just trying to breathe into it. So with each inhale you take, just fill up with air. And each exhale, just soften your hips, soften, release any tension, any tightness that you are creating. And then the next inhale, you're filling up with air, you're softening the hips. And exhale to relax. And just staying here for a few breaths. So maybe you're able to bring the chest down even further. And again, just breathing, feeling your breath. That's it. That's all. Feeling all those sensations running through the hips. And if your body's giving you a signal you need to move, you can come out. Just slide forward, lay on your tummy. Awesome work, you guys. We're going to stay for 3 more breaths, okay? 3 more. That's it. And then very, very slowly start to lift back up and out of this one. So you can either roll or slide onto your stomach, or you can push yourself up and then bring your knees together. But if you did roll your mat over, just unroll it. Unroll it, and then we're going to bring our feet in front. So we're going to have a seat. Move your feet out a little bit wider, maybe to the edges of your mat, and we're just going to do a little windshield wiper movement with your legs. So be nice and gentle on those hips if you really felt that frog pose. And just let those knees fall side to side. And then when you're feeling good, you can have a nice comfy seat. Just cross your ankles. Sit comfortably, bring your hands to your knees, let your eyes close just for one more nice big breath. Inhale and exhale. Awesome job today, you guys. Have a great rest of your day. I hope your hips are feeling extra happy right now. Namaste.